Craig, did you hit the live stream yet?
Yep, it's going now.
Perfect.
Thanks. Welcome. The October 27, 2023 Oregon State Lottery Commission meeting is now in session. Today's meeting is being live streamed on the internet, and a link is posted on the Oregon Lottery website. It's noted for the record that commissioners are attending this meeting via the web. Commissioner Patel is excused, and a quorum of commissioners is present for today's meeting. Director Wells is attending a new directors forum today, so interim deputy director Ty Calandrello will be offering his remarks in his absence. So thank you, Ty. I'd also like to welcome Jeff Weller to the Lottery Commission. Jeff is a CPA from Roseburg and fills the constitutionally mandated CPA position on the commission. I wanted to say that I've had some conversations with Jeff. He's so welcome to this position and this commission. He has a background replete with public and community service. For example, he served on the board of the Umpqua Community Theater. He's also offered his services to both Douglas and Roseburg, various public committees and other roles for Douglas and County and Roseburg. So with that, Commissioner Weller, would you like to share why you chose to serve on the Lottery Commission with all your other commitments?
And it's turning out with all the other commitments, I have the situation where life is what happens while you're busy making other plans. I spend a lot of time making plans. I consider myself to be a lifelong learner. I know for a fact that no matter where I am or who I'm around, there are things that the people around me and the things around me can teach me. I can learn in any kind of a situation. So this is something else, gives me an opportunity to learn. I did go back to school back in, well, a number of years ago, got my master's degree when I was 59 years old. So I do enjoy learning, becomes an opportunity for that. Also, as you mentioned, I've done a couple of things for the community and the public, and I enjoy doing that. So here's an area where there was an opening. It's a mandated that it be a CPA. Hey, I'm a CPA. I think I've got a pretty wide background, a lot of things. Hopefully I can bring things to the table and present them to the rest of the commissioners. And I say present intentionally because I do not have a pride of authorship. If I come up with an idea or someone else comes up with an idea, let's talk about it. Let's see what works. If we need to make modifications, we make them. If we like it the way it is, we leave it the way it is. But I totally understand that I cannot and obviously refuse to be a one-man band. I'm a sole proprietor, but especially in this kind of a situation, let's work as a team. Other people have different ideas, and that's all they are, is different. If we can incorporate them into whatever it is we're trying to do, let's do that as a team. So I like the opportunity. I like the fact that the lottery is helping a lot of people in the state of Oregon. So it's an opportunity to give back. That's what it amounts to.
Well, thank you and welcome again, Commissioner Weller. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ramirez.
Here.
Commissioner Weller.
Here.
Commissioner Wilcox. Here. Chair Safoff.
Here. Thank you. Will the clerk please inform the commission of who else is in the meeting today?
Yes, we have Kathy Ortega, Tina Erickson, Sar Richards, Carrie Hemphill, Syed Hussein, Justin Headland, Kathy Stromberg, John Grew with DOJ, Shad Barnes, Matt Shelby, and Christy Comas.
Thank you. Members of the public have the opportunity to provide written comments to the commission for this meeting. It's our understanding that there is no written comment, but Elisa, would you please confirm that no public comment was received at this time?
That is correct. We did not receive any public comment.
Thank you. With that, I think we'll move to the agenda. And the first that I'd like to hear is if Ty, if you would give us the director's report.
Sounds good. Good morning, Chair Sackhoff and commissioners. As shared earlier, I'm filling in for Director Wells today, and I'm happy to share the director's report on his behalf. So last month, we shared Lottery Ambassadors delivered the good news to Regional Teacher of the Year recipients. And we congratulate the statewide Teacher of the Year, Mandy Vance, an Oregon Trail School District middle school teacher. Mandy is a relational educator crediting classroom success due to her ability to get to know each student. A surprise celebration earlier this month greeted Mandy with students lining the hallway for cheers and high fives. Oregon Lottery is proud to sponsor this award, and Vance receives $10,000 for her achievement and the school district $5,000. Related to this award, 2 days ago, Oregon Lottery received a Spotlight Award in Public Service from the Public Relations Society of America, or PRSA, for the Oregon Teacher of the Year campaign. The award is designed to, quote, shine a spotlight on the remarkable contributions made by public relations and communications professionals in our region, end quote. And we are the only state agency to receive a spotlight this year. So thank you to everyone who supported the Teacher of the Year program and made this happen. Also, the holiday season is upon us. The warehouse team at OSL is preparing more than 20,000 packs of holiday scratchets for over 1,800 retailers. Tickets are on store shelves with new and unique designs for Oregon, and you can anticipate our gifting ad campaign begins in mid-November. The Oregon Lottery team has also put together 27 auction items for the annual charitable fund drive. The drive ends November 8th and supports over 800 Oregon charities. Happy to report we are on track to raise more than we did last year. And typically we would cover sales, but we will cover that later. So I'll conclude this report with a few winner stories. You may have heard Thomas W. of Mill City is a $1 million Powerball winner, missing the second biggest jackpot ever by just the Powerball number. The 77-year-old retiree said he thought the prize amount was, quote, just about right, end quote, for him and his wife, Nancy. The couple plans to buy a new pickup and riding scooter to help Nancy get around easier. And the winning ticket was purchased at 7-Star Convenience Store in Mill City. Heidi M. of Canby forgot she entered her scratchets in our second chance drawing. To her surprise, she received a letter in the mail saying she won $10,000. Heidi said the money is coming at just the right time for a new car engine. And in the UFC, a sports betting customer successfully parlayed 12 fighters to win their match, risking $150.30 and taking home $136,848.59. And with that, I am concluding this month's director's report.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to comment that your report, sometimes there's lots of details in it, but I was struck at the top level just because of the awards we received, really how much the lottery does. I am so proud of the support we give, not only individual teachers in the Teacher of the Year process, but in the work we do just to support education generally. Some of you know I was a teacher in my first professional life, so I'm very proud of that we do that, but we do so much other stuff as well. Thank you for the reports. Any questions or comments from any of the commission before we move on? Okay, let's move to the minutes. The minutes of the previous commission meeting have been circulated to the commission in advance of today's meeting. If there are no changes to the minutes, is there a motion to approve?
I move that the minutes of the Oregon State Lottery Commission meeting held on September 22nd, 2023 be approved as final as presented today.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Weller,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Aye.
Chair Sackhoff.
Aye. For the record, the motion has passed. Kathy, I think Ms. Ortega, could you come and give us the financial report?
I'd be happy to. Good morning, Chair Sackhoff, commissioners, and Interim Assistant Director Ty Calandrello. My name is Kathy Ortega, Chief Financial Officer for the Oregon Lottery. And we're going to look at our financial statements for the first quarter ending of this fiscal year. If you would kindly turn your attention to the operating statement for the month of September, we had a positive revenue variance of $6.350 million. And that is largely attributable to the jackpot roll-ups that we enjoyed during the month of September. If you look back to the first 2 months of the fiscal year, we were slightly negative in this area. And so the jackpots have propped our revenues up quite a bit. And as is the case, because of the variable nature of our expenses in this category, commissions and game vendor charges have a negative variance, which I have always said, and for our newest commissioner, that negative variances in this area are always a good thing because it's a rate variance, and that means we have more revenue coming in. Tickets and advertising are just slight timing differences for the month. Other income and expense is attributable to mark-to-market on our investments that we use to pay prize winners, which is a GAAP necessity. Public information is also a timing difference, but what caused that difference was we had a larger campaign hit in the month of September. And when I say hit, I mean get recorded. It was to pollinate for some problem gambling media that we ran. We do have that same negative salaries, wage, and benefit variance that we've been running for the first 3 months due to an error in the budget that I'll talk about that a little bit later, but it's been the same for every month of the year so far. And we have a positive net revenue variance of $5.281 million. Going to the year to date for the first quarter, we
Kathy,
are.
can I ask a question before you move on? Sorry. The public information, you said that we have a negative variance there. Was that unexpected? Is that timing, or was that something that just?
Unfortunately, Chair, I hate to say it because I hate to say these things. It is timing. That budget is spread out over 12 months, and we just happened to have that campaign run in the earlier portion of the year where we had to book the expense.
I get it. So it's money that we would have spent. We just have the allocation on the monthly, maybe done a little bit incorrectly. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
That's okay. Moving to the 3 months or the quarter ended September 30th, we have a positive revenue variance of $5.274 million. Commissions, again, vary with revenue. And I think everything else is what I reported on the month. The other income and expense is mark-to-market activity required by GASB. That same budget variance that we've got on salaries, benefits, and wages. And as a result, our net profit number is positive $13.865 million. Looking at services and supplies, we had a couple of timing differences in the month. And I know you've heard me talk about retailer network and expenses and the Lumen contract negotiation. Just to keep you in the loop on what is happening there, I did sign that contract about, not this weekend, but the prior weekend. So we are under contract there. The challenge that we're going to have is that this is a different business model contract than what we've had in the past. And we do not have an installation schedule for these upgrades that they're going to be doing. And so it's a little bit difficult for me to put together a budget. We are looking at it and working on it, but we have some details that we need to iron out, if you will, in order to do that budget. And so, and information that we do need from the vendor in terms of the rollout schedule. So we're leaving that as it was originally budgeted during the contract negotiation. And I'll have to get back to you when we are able to finalize some of those details.
Kathy, we're down in a couple of areas. Overall, I just wanted, they seem to be grouped around, well, professional services, but travel, staff training. Is that, I'm just curious, is that because, you know, we had the pandemic, we're doing sort of a hybrid, so there's a lot less travel happening, a lot less training happening, or is that something we're expecting? And I don't know if that's something Ty should answer, or I'm just curious as to that budget seems to, we're not meeting the budget. We're under in those areas. And I'm wondering what we're expecting as we move on through the year.
I'm happy to answer that question, but Ty, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I think we start with you, Kathy. Definitely.
Okay. So my perception of that is, first of all, there's a dynamic that takes place with some of our vendors in that we tend to be large participants in NASPL, G2E, and a number of large conferences. I have been watching things as they come through the books and records, and most of those conferences happen in October or the latter part or first part of next year. So I don't think it represents not going. I think it represents more some of the timing on some of the things that we do end up attending.
Thanks.
But I am seeing a ramp up here as I look at books and records and see things come through.
Thank you. That's what I was wondering. Is it coming, or is it for some other odd market reason it's just not happening? Okay.
No, Ty, did you want to add anything?
I agree with what you're saying. And also too, as we've had in previous conversations, this year we have really sought to increase our precision.
Yeah.
And so some of that has been really planning in the budget, timing it in a certain period, and maybe perhaps being off by 1 to 2 periods.
Great. Thank you. Professional services too. That's those are.
I think that professional services is a lot of the vendors that we use, such as Deloitte. And I think it's merely a timing difference. I have gone through in just even the last couple of weeks, I've seen a lot of the vendors that they're the consultants that we use, invoices for those individuals come through. So I mean, we're still really early in the year. I think by the time we get to December, if we're still seeing this trend, maybe we need to take a look at what's going on there.
Yeah, thank you. Those answers all my questions. Thanks.
Okay. We do have the balance sheet for you here today for you to take a look at, and was provided you previously in your materials. And because we are at the end of a quarter, I have to get myself situated because these schedules are a little bit later down in the packet, so bear with me for a minute. But we did include for you a schedule of capital outlay and spending on some of the projects that you approved us to do. And those schedules are later in the packet, but what you would see on those schedules is on an original budget of 36.8 million, we've spent about 10 million of that. Largely, the bulk of that is on VLTs, which is expected. And we have a spend for the rest of the year remaining of about 26.6 million. And so those details were previously provided to you. We also have the schedule of I know it shows up here as more than 4, but there really are only 4 initiatives that we have for this year on projects that were approved by you, totaling 22.9 million. We spent about 3.5 of that. And so there's 19 million remaining. And you will see this as the largest one here is RPM, which is in multiple phases. And that money will get spent. It's an implementation and we have to work through the phases. So with that, go ahead, Chair.
No, I was just gonna say, before you call for we call for a motion, I was gonna ask if any of the other commissioners had any questions or comments from you before we go to the approvals.
I just
I
have
did.
one.
Go
ahead,
Mr.
Commissioner.
Ramirez. Oh,
Yeah,
I don't care who goes.
Yeah, I'll go. So back on the operating statements for the year to date on the games equipment, that is running significantly behind. Is there an issue there, or is it a timing issue as well?
It's a little bit of a time, I don't even want to say timing issue because not all time, not all timing issues are created equal. But in this case, it's related to this line largely has two components: spare parts for VLTs that we buy and game sets. I just signed a requisition today, or I will be today. I saw it come in for spare part purchases. And so that's going to be catching up. And Ty, I don't know, do you have anything to say about the timing of any game sets that are planned? I don't have any information on that.
What I do understand is that we plan to be on target for the budget for the remainder of the year.
And are there other questions?
I used to have some, but after a conversation earlier this week with Kathy, I got them resolved very comfortably. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
No. Is anybody else? I was gonna just ask one final question about the capital outlay.
Yes.
That's okay?
Of course.
Mine is more general. Is there anything there that, it is early in the year, but is there anything there that we're worried about's at risk for timing? I was wondering about I can't tell if we're actually about where we expected to be under site services or not, but is there anything here that you are worried about that we're at risk of not getting done or having significant delays at this time? Early to be asking that, but checking.
I'm not aware of any delays on the site services. I don't know, Ty, if you know anything about that. The work is ongoing. And, whereas before we weren't seeing spend on on this particular project, and now we are. You can see some significant dollars going out in the month of September.
And
so
similarly on the security work we're doing.
On the security, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Commissioner.
the
which
building
one?
security system replacement, you think we're
Yes,
okay
I
there?
do.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Questions or comments from the commission further?
Chair Sathoff, I'd like to make one comment before we ask for a motion.
Sure.
And that is, we did do a first quarter budget review
Mhm.
and asking managers to go into their budgets to look for anything that needs adjustment. The threshold for that was $1 million. And we don't really have anything coming in from the managers to that magnitude. We'll look again at the mid-year, which is where we start to have enough activity taking place that we can see some things happening.
Mhm.
And I will say that we're going to probably have some rate adjustments coming through to assumptions made in the budget at the mid-year, but it's still a little bit early to be doing rate adjustments.
Yeah.
But we did do the exercise, and I've nothing to report for you to ask for approval at this time.
So maybe a question for later in the meeting, but in terms of our retailers, we're getting feedback from them on the you talked about rate adjustments. I'm assuming you meant rate adjustments with respect to our assumptions about retailers. Any feedback coming there about this? It's not exactly a new system we're using anymore, but I know it's been a little controversial at times with some of our vendors.
I haven't heard anything. I'll defer to Ty on that. And this is more, Chair Sathoff, this is more assumptions we made in the budget as opposed to things coming in from outside parties.
Right.
If that is clearer.
The assumptions we made about the tiers and what we would be seeing.
Yes, and some of our OPE adjustments, I think we're going to need to take a look at.
The OP, okay, not about that. Okay, thank you. Questions, comments? Okay, is there a motion to approve the financial statements?
I move that the Oregon State Lottery financial statements for the month ended September 30th, 2023 be approved for the record as presented today.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Weller,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Aye.
Chair Safa.
Aye. For the record, the motion has passed.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Kathy. All right, let's move to staff updates, and we have a few of you stepping forward. I'm not sure who's going to begin, but Tina Erickson, Sar Richards, Carrie Hemphill, and Shad Barnes.
Good morning, Chair Sathov, Commissioners, Interim Deputy Director Calandreo. For the record, my name is Tina Erickson, and I am the manager over the lottery products portfolio. If you will give me a moment, I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. And this is always fun as things show up differently. So if you'll give me a moment, I'll swap. Is everyone able to see the presentation now?
Looks good.
Yes.
All right. So this morning is our quarterly updates, and let's see if I can get this moving. What the group wanted to do was really take a moment and share how transfers are calculated, because the information that we're going to be going over today has some transfer information in it. And really, this is just kind of a reminder of the different ways that each of the product categories are calculated. As you can see on this slide, video and lottery products transfers are really based on the prizes and the sales, and kind of looking at payout percentages that vary to kind of give us the overall amount that's transferred to the state. Lottery products is one that I know in and out for, so I'll give that as an example. For this one, you can see it's total sales times 84%. And then we go in and we remove prizes. With Scratch, a blended rate of about 65% on payout, and then you've got our draw games, etc., that are in there. So that's really kind of what we're trying to highlight there about the games. Transfer rates depend on what those prize payouts are. Sports is a little bit different. As you can see, it's not based on percentages like the other two product lines are. And those really were taking into account what those total sales were, and then backing out any of the prizes and expenses. And those amounts are paid semi-annually. So just kind of a reminder there of the way that the transfers are looked at.
Tina, can I clarify for the commission
Yes, please.
that those the sports bet transfers, the state doesn't get those. Those go directly to Fund PERS.
Thank you for that clarification, Kathy. Yes.
You're welcome.
So moving on to quarterly lottery product update. As Ty mentioned, 'tis the season. So we launched our holiday games earlier this month. And as we saw last year, our top performer is that $5 price point. One thing I did want to point out, this particular quarter had 14 weeks of sales. Generally, our quarters are 13 weeks. So if we're looking 13 weeks to 13 weeks, Scratch sales were down a bit. But when we're looking at this 14-week sales period, they're pretty even. The one thing that I did want to call to your attention is if you look at that transfer amount, and the difference is down by 12%. And that really kind of plays into how our $1 and $2 price points are selling. So again, transfers are really estimated on what those prize percents are that we're paying back. So a $1 game transfers the most money back to the state. But I think I've mentioned over the last year or so that jurisdictions across the nation, as well as in Canada, are seeing their customers stop really buying those lower price points at that $1 and $2 range and moving up into those higher price points. So OEA forecasted about a 16% rate, and we're actually seeing transfers of about 14.5%. And it's because those sales have declined. And interestingly enough, the Canadian jurisdictions, they actually have removed the $1 price point from their portfolio, except for the holidays. They'll have a $1 holiday ticket. And there's a handful of other jurisdictions that are doing that in the US. So we have a NASPL conference, Kathy alluded to. It's next week, and I want to talk to some of the product managers about, really their thoughts behind doing that. I still feel that it is a viable price point to have in the portfolio. So not saying we would get rid of it, but it's always good to talk to our counterparts in other lotteries. Go ahead, Chair Sathoff.
Thank you. We're looking at this. My assumption is that you'll all bring back your review and what your recommendation is going to be for us. And on the transfer, I think I've understood it. I think I'm understanding it today. Is there any, do the people we're transferring to, the legislature, the executive branch, do they understand this? So when they see that the transfers are down, do they understand what's going on? And
that is a good question. I think that it's good timing to educate some of them if they're, asking those questions, because
yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Somebody else is responding.
I don't hear anyone else.
I don't hear anybody else either. I thought somebody was going to respond to that. I was only going to say that if it's not understood, I think the sense that we're not, I think it can impact other things that we do with the legislature. So I would encourage us to maybe look at that.
Absolutely. And I think it's important too that, as we talk about the forecast that OEA is providing, that they're aware as well. Like I said, because what we're actually transferring is about 1.5% less. The good thing is overall sales are up, so we are making more transfers than we would have, but it's that estimate that's off. So we can go back and work on that. But I agree with you that it's a good opportunity to educate others. Any other questions for this slide? As usual, the other two slides are pretty, flat, basic, performance, not much change there. And where we see the big change is really with our jackpot games. And we are definitely, as you can see, the forecast percent on transfers was huge. Kathy alluded to that as well. And it's those $1 billion jackpots that really are driving the sales here. Again, one of the conversations that I would like to have with other jurisdictions is really seeing or hearing from them if they are seeing what we are calling jackpot fatigue, where when your jackpots are at these lower levels, are sales being sluggish as compared to, this $1 billion jackpot, and you get more excitement behind it. But we had two, as you can see from this slide, in this last quarter that were over $1 billion. We just, a few weeks ago had another $1 billion plus dollar Powerball jackpot. So those really do impact this side of the portfolio. Any questions?
Questions or comments? I have one related, but anyone else before we? I am concerned because, I mean, it's sort of like, you worry when it looks great. I mean, it's wonderful that this is doing well, but as a portfolio of a revenue stream, it feels precarious to me and feels like there's risk here that I'm hoping the lottery spends some time to look at.
Yeah, I think in particular with these two games, they are national games. And so
Yeah.
we are such a small state that our voice sometimes is not often heard when you are competing with some of the others. But
no, I get that. It's sort
yeah.
of, what do we do with our portfolio to possibly hedge against risk there?
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely. So those are things that are in the works on there. Any other questions? So I am going to move the slide on for SAR.
Thank you, Tina.
Yep.
Chair Sapoff, Commissioners, Interim Deputy Director Calandreo. Good morning. For the record, my name is Sarah Richards. I am the manager of the video gaming products here at the lottery. It's my pleasure to give last quarter's updates. Similar to what Tina was saying, we were down slightly this quarter, 1.6% to forecast. Right now, as of today, we're down 0.3% to forecast. So just giving some more context to it, that we're actually improving. One of the big things that contribute to that is we launched Big City 5's Diamond on the Crystal Duel. And it takes a little bit of time due to the nature of the game to gain popularity. And we're seeing that popularity beginning to grow now. We also launched Thunder Stampede during the last quarter, which also launched in late September. And again, our games take a little bit of time sometimes to build popularity, but both those games have surged in their gameplay. And that's why we're seeing some turnaround right now. But looking backwards, similar to what Tina was saying, we're not the only lottery that saw some slowing in the first quarter of our fiscal. Talking with the Canadians and some of the other lotteries here across the United States, we shared that downturn, but thankfully we just talked with them this week, or this month, I should say. And they're seeing that same increase that we are. So it's more of an industry improvement overall for the video side. Any questions on video?
nothing other than we talked a little bit about this at the last meeting, that you're all watching very closely this somewhat not huge downward trend, but a downward trend. I mean, obviously video is where the significant dollars are for the state needs. And so this is this is the part of the portfolio that we have to watch very closely. I know you all are.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's a constant point of discussion we have, and working with ANI and different groups just to see if we can figure out different paths forward to whatever we need to do to improve performance. Anything else for video? Hearing nothing, I'll turn it over to Carrie for sports.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Hemphill, Chair, Commissioners, Interim Director, Calandreo. For the record, my name is Carrie Hemphill, Sports Betting Product Manager here at the Oregon Lottery, and I'm going to give you the product update for the last quarter. There's a lot of text on here, but I'll make sense of the text. So we are now 7 quarters active with the DraftKings Sportsbook. We transitioned over in January of 2022. I've stated before in previous commissions, we're just now starting to get historical data that's relative to being on this sportsbook rather than having kind of 2 going on at the same time. So we're still growing our history a bit. But if you look at the last 3 quarters that we've had for the sportsbook, the platform's ability to sustain growth has been, relative to its own past performance, has been showing very positively. Q1, so July, August, and September is typically the slowest quarter for sports betting. It's just summertime. People are out and about. We have a lower amount of sports going on. The sports book still has activity and things going, but it's definitely one of our slowest times of year. And when we compare sports, as a reminder, it's something that we look at year over year rather than quarter to quarter because of the sports schedules that go on. So typically, Q1 is our slowest quarter, but even with that, it performed very well with excellent year over year growth. A little bit of the stats that we've had here. So the number of bets quarter one this year to quarter of last year was up over 75%. Turnover or dollars played was up 67%. Unique active players, so those players coming in at least one time in the quarter to place a wager, was up 47%. That accounted to over 67,000 customers coming into the sports book between July, August, and September. And our gross gaming revenue up 58% over last year, which came in at about 15.6 million for the quarter. This is an increase that we saw of approximately 5.6 million over last year. It's been stated, but that we had an extra week in this quarter. So this quarter was 14 weeks instead of 13 weeks that we typically have. I believe looking at the next 3 years, they're all 13-week quarters, so we won't really get into that as much. But even with that extra week, it did bump the numbers up slightly, but on an adjusted basis, our growth in turnover and in number of bets were up over 50% if we even took out that last week. So everything is going really well with the sports book that we have. We saw no significant downtime to report. I think the DraftKings impressive promotions that we have, the product offering that we have, and the various betting options have just continued to push player engagement and really be a positive opportunity for the players to come in and wager. Looking at sports really quickly, everybody thinks of football because it came back, but baseball was actually the main driver of the quarter. It accounted for 36% of total betting turnover and 41% of GGR. The interest in baseball continues to grow with live betting. Players really like the opportunity to bet on the micro markets, which is like the next pitch, next at bat. Is it going to be a strike? Is it going to be a ball? It's very popular to players. It just keeps you active throughout the game. And obviously, Major League Baseball is the primary league here in the United States, but we're actually getting action from overseas in the international leagues. We've got South Korea and we've got Japan, which players are finding some activity playing with. And then football, obviously, the first 3 weeks of football of the regular season fell into this Q1. And it was a very nice boost to our sports numbers. Again, promotional push that we had with DraftKings leading up to the start of the NFL really drove a jump in the registrations. I'm excited to see where this is going to go through the next couple months, as it's been an exciting trend of growth that we've seen so far and through the remainder of the season, and it should be very good. I sound like a broken record, but table tennis is always the dark horse that comes in, and it's no big surprise. It's been excellent in the quarter. The overall growth has been impressive. I need to learn more about table tennis because I don't, but people really seem to love it. The number of bets that were placed in the quarter just for table tennis alone was up over 275%. It also has live betting like baseball does. So it's something that keeps you active throughout the whole game instead of just placing a wager before the game starts. And I really think that drives a lot of player interest, as well as it's just random times on the sports book. Since a lot of it's overseas, there's activity in the middle of the night when there's no other sports going on here in the United States. And that's another reason why I think it's popular. Finally, just the rest of the sports we've seen, it's a slow month or a slow quarter, but there were still soccer, tennis, basketball has started, MMA, boxing, all the standard stuff resulted in about $5 million to our gross gaming revenue when you throw them all together. Lastly, the registrations, when compared over last year, player registrations were, I would say, flat. We didn't see a huge drop in this quarter. Again, it was a slow quarter for us in terms of the time of year. But I will say that that also is a positive sign that the player acquisition is holding steady. And I am excited to see what the registrations numbers are bumping up for Q2 for us, since we will have football, basketball, hockey, and a whole bunch of different sports going on. A very busy quarter, the next one coming up. So looking at the regular Q2, as I just said, NFL regular season's going on. Hockey is started. Major League Baseball playoffs, we're actively in those, and baseball will start winding down as the players are, or the teams are less, and we get to the end of the season. And then NBA regular season just kicked off this week. So it's been very exciting, and the platform has been strong, performing very well, and we'll see where it goes. Are there any questions?
Questions or comments from the commission? Carrie, I have one. I just want to make sure I understand. When you say registrations, number of new customers remain consistent, we're still adding customers. It's just that the rate of adding customers hasn't increased year over year.
Correct. So as a comparison, Q1 of last year, we had 12,000 or so customers, new registered customers coming in. This year, we had about 14,000. So we were up 2,000 customers in the 3-month quarter. Still bumping up, still really good. We haven't, but just not a, we've been seeing these really large numbers coming in, and it's 2,000 is a lot of people adding to it, but it's not the same jumps that we've been having.
And unless I'm misunderstanding, the unique active players would be a subset of the new registrations.
Correct. You have a new registered player coming in. A unique active means you're already registered, but you with whatever time frame. So in a 3-month time frame, we count you if you come in to bet one time, you're one unique active customer.
I see. That's making more sense. I'm looking at your up 47% and trying to figure that out. So that makes more sense. Thank you.
It gets too, I'm too in the weeds of using these terms. I should start off with a little vocabulary each time.
These seem to be the right metrics for us to be looking at. So I thank you, and congratulations on what looks to be some real growth here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on sports betting? And hearing none, let's move to unless there's more, let's move to the Win for Life campaign.
Good morning, Chair Sathoff, Lottery Commissioners, Interim Deputy Director Calandrello. For the record, I'm Shad Barnes. I'm the Senior Manager of Digital Marketing here at the Lottery, and I'm here today to talk about Win for Life campaign we ran over the summer. There was some notice from the OEA forecasters. They said, what's up with this blip here on this game? So I just wanted to give you guys some insight and a little bit of background. Just get to start. What is Win for Life? So Win for Life is a piece of our jackpot game portfolio. It lives in kind of the same area as Powerball, Mega Millions, Mega Bucks. It's a $2 game, and it offers a chance to win $1,000 a week for life. So the Win for Life is a real thing. And it's a really easy play style, and a lot of people utilize our mobile app to see if they won or not. A higher index number than our typical draw game usage. It has posted really consistent sales for more than a decade. It is a mature offering. It's been out on the market for 20 plus years. As we do keep an eye on this, Chair Sathoff, I heard you ask a few times, like we do keep a careful eye on all of these games and the performance and kind of the what's and the whys behind it. It is a game that offered small increases, typically based on higher jackpots for the big games like Powerball. People were in, they buy a ticket, they'd all, let me try this game as well. It also has some low customer awareness because it isn't on our big billboard. It's not a big part of $1 billion run-up. There's a little background on Win for Life. It offered a great opportunity for a marketing test, which is kind of my next slide here. Tina, if you could, thank you. It added this opportunity for us just because of its really lack of anomalous kind of movement, an opportunity to say, what can we learn? And so we wanted to kind of learn a bit from our marketing, and we had some very simple questions, and I'll be really clear. Our goal at the outset was not to increase Win for Life revenue. per se. We just wanted to kind of learn specifically what will short duration, low investment campaigns do to improve awareness or affinity of this game. It was not necessarily how are we going to make a lot more revenue on this game sales. And then additionally, we wanted to kind of test how effective our current modern marketing mix is at attracting new players. Again, it's always our stated goal to have many players, not just a few players when we kind of present, especially from a marketing perspective. And then are there, speaking of the mobile app, which I mentioned earlier, are there any other new player insights when new players try a new game that we could kind of assess from this test? So again, kind of connected to the app, engagement and customer experience are super important. So modern consumers today, they shop for information, reviews, comparison, cost. If you buy anything on Amazon, you're always looking for, is this a 3-star? Is this a 5-star? Is this worthy of my dollar? We follow a tenet that it is better to communicate with customers than to customers. That's another kind of big piece of modern marketing is, with social media and all of these reviews and all these other places, there's an opportunity to kind of share information and dialogue with customers rather than just interruptive marketing that puts something in front of them. And then we have a nice connected relationship with players via mobile app and our email list. And that is always a goal of all of our marketing campaigns, is kind of increasing that one-to-one relationship over time. So the Win for Life campaign did seek to isolate kind of certain elements of what we do in marketing. It was an 8-week campaign that ran from mid-April to early to mid-June. The first 6 weeks of this campaign was just messaging. It was literally just telling people that Win for Life exists. We had some marketing I'll show you here in a moment out in the field, mainly digital. And then for the last 10 days of the campaign, we touted a BOGO offer, buy one, get one free. And that was available for the last 7 days of the campaign. Again, just to learn what inputs make a difference to our customers. What do they care about? In total, it was a $30,000 marketing spend on advertising and some limited out-of-home billboard advertising. So as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, the sales were like setting a clock. Any of the kind of the high points you see on the line in green there were directly attributable to those were times when we would have big jackpot run-ups. So and then as you kind of look towards, and we look at everything in sales weeks. So I will talk about this in sales weeks here in a moment, but you can see where the campaign begins is where that first red line on the left comes in. And that is where our just digital messaging and campaign only kind of came in. And we lifted sales from that kind of $70,000 window up into this 93.7. Again, wasn't our stated desire to necessarily lift revenue and sales, but it happened. And then again, we started talking about the BOGO in advance of that second red line. And you can see where that, the OEA forecasters, holy cow, what happened here? Well, that's what happened. The BOGO came along, and I will just mention that that sales number is adjusted to take out. So we do account for every dollar given of a free ticket is accounted for as a dollar. This is adjusted to take that dollar out. So we didn't count that free ticket as a sale is basically what that means. So you can see we went from kind of a $70,000 average sales window up to a $309,000 week. I will mention, and you can kind of see it from the numbers here, every week of our campaign was the biggest sales week that Win for Life had in a very long time. I don't have the date of way back to kind of where that was. And some great little kind of things happened, some little tidbits within this campaign. So, more players equals oftentimes more winners and more discussion about really a fun game. As you all know, lottery employees cannot play the lottery. Personally, if I had a choice of a game I could play, if I could, this would be the game I play because it's just got a fun, interesting kind of prize. It's a really interesting kind of play style. And, we often try to put ourselves into the shoes of our players and our customers, and they like it too. They enjoyed the play style, and we just have some data that shows us that. So over the course of the campaign, we had over 1.6 million impressions with 30,000 visits to our website. We keep a careful eye on how many new people, because that's really what's important to us, is how many new people are coming in. 85% of all that campaign traffic were people that hadn't really done anything with the lottery in this capacity before. One of the things for us is we are in an increasingly mobile world. Everybody spends time on their handheld devices. And this is very similar to most all of our campaigns, but it's worth note, 87% of those users came in via mobile device. One of the nice things when I kind of mentioned more winners that happened, again, this is a low play kind of a game. There's just not as much play as we have in Mega Millions and Powerball. But we did have 2 Oregonians win the grand prize, essentially that for life during the campaign window, which is wonderful. Our favorite thing is having winners, and we were able to turn quickly with some PR on those stories, and they were wonderful. In fact, one woman from Grants Pass who purchased her first time ever Win for Life ticket was a grand prize winner. So it made for a very interesting and fun kind of element of this campaign. And in total, more than 320,000 Win for Life tickets were scanned on the mobile app during that campaign window. So again, just some tidbits there. In terms of kind of what did the campaign look like in market, these are just a few of the assets that were out there. And Tina, you can just go ahead and hit the next button a couple of times to go through that. Most of the things that we run, especially digitally, have a slight bit of animation. We do try to do a lot of player education. So the big box you see in the middle there kind of teaches people about the game and how much it costs and some of those other things, but tries to do it in a way that's engaging. And then the 2 images you see off to the right are those 2 winners I spoke about earlier, Ruth and Robin, and they both won $1,000 a week for the rest of their lives. Again, in total, it was really a very successful, beyond our wildest dreams, successful campaign in terms of kind of driving interest and really engagement within the game. Now, obviously, game engagement did not remain at that, that high level. We do these BOGO type offers very sparingly because, again, the financial impact of giving away a ticket is something we don't do very often. But players do love it when there is an opportunity to receive a buy one, get one. All of our Win for Life metrics continue to maintain over $100,000 in average weekly sales. So the residual effect, the halo effect, so to speak, is that we do maintain a $30,000 a week average higher number than what we were at before campaign. We are keeping an eye on that. We'll see how long that lasts. It's very nice to have seen that, which really was one of our goals, to understand, like, if people can trial, do they enjoy this gameplay style enough to continue to play? And so far, we have seen an increase in revenue on that game. Some of the things we learned, we realized and were affirmed that our communication methodologies are sound and cost effective. A $30,000 advertising spend generated 1.068 million in revenue increase during that campaign window. Our promotional opportunities like BOGO have a very high perceived value and sentiment, which is just a reality. If you don't put these offers out very often, they are very valuable. Our app usage around Win for Life increased 168% year over year. Again, just a little bit of information and a little bit of a value interest kind of messaging makes a big difference. And more than anything, I'll just put a little plug in for our analytics and insights team. It drives tremendous value for my team and the entire lottery for our internal programs and customers. So much insight, so much we can learn from this and campaigns like this one.
Questions, comments from the commission? Chad, I would say one thing, the power of free. Amazing. And the other, I'm really appreciative of this report because I think we all intuitively believe that marketing, you need to do sound marketing. What I'm amazed with on this presentation is the return on our investment for the marketing you did is sort of like out of the realm of a foreseeable reason. So I'm pretty amazed, and I really do appreciate the review, and nice job. And I will just reiterate something you said. if and when I can ever do lottery, this is the game I'd play, and I didn't even understand it until this presentation. So
Thanks, Chair Sapoff.
thank you. I think that ends the staff updates, I believe. So with that, I'm going to open this up if there are any other communications or business that we need to take care of at this time. Staff or commission, time to raise it. Okay, with that, this concludes today's meeting of the Oregon State Lottery Commission. The next meeting is scheduled on Friday, November 17. And I thank you all for attending. We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Nice to see you all.
Have a great
Nice
day.
to-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to
Yeah,
see
great
all of us
job.
together for the first time.
Yeah. Jeff, welcome again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.